listeners, thank you for joining us. I'm Joy.
And I'm Laura.
And this is The Witches of Letters, a supernatural rewatch podcast.
Buckle up as we dive into Season 3, Episode 2. The kids are all right.
Are they, Laura? Are they all right?
No, they're creepy.
She's so
it's a
angry.
creepy kids episode.
It is a creepy kid episode.
We know how much I love them. No, I did like this episode, but it was quite scary.
It is freaky. She was rewatching it and she was messaging me and she was like, I can't believe this is the third time that I've watched this. She was like ranting to me. She was like, ugh. Yeah,
I had to watch it 3 times because Joy was sick. So I watched it once to watch it, once to write my notes, and then I've watched it again today because it's been so long since I actually watched it.
Yeah, so basically I have the plague that Laura and Nick had, and it's horrible. And I spent the last couple of weeks just like feverish and terrible. Fingers crossed my voice is going to hold out and things are going to go well.
You sound okay at the moment.
At the moment, we're just going to touch the wood. Just going to touch a little bit of wood here after that. Yeah, so I have something that I want to bring up that I feel like the fandom will support me on, which is that I know that Eric Kripke has said a couple of times that Ben is not actually Dean's son and that Lisa's telling the truth. However, on Then and Now, the podcast, the actress who plays Lisa said that she always believed, from the character's point of view and her point of view, her personal take, she played that part that Dean was actually Ben's father. But that she didn't want Ben exposed to the level of danger that would come with Dean being his dad and knowing that he was his dad.
Cool.
Huh.
No, I think it as well.
Yeah, so I feel like all of the fans are sort of like, maybe not every single fan, but I feel like the vast majority of us are like, listen, Kripke, we love you, but sometimes we know more than you know. Yeah. And we promise you that is Dean's child.
Yeah.
Okay? Sleep on it. Think about it some more. That is Dean's child.
I think I've written in my notes somewhere, I don't believe her.
Yeah, no. I don't believe her. I did believe her the first few times because I'm very gullible. And then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Actually, I do not believe her. And she definitely plays it like he is the dad.
Yeah, because there's that bit where she gets really shifty and she's like, what?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. 100%. Like, that is Dean's child. Okay? And I also feel like, given the way that Dean lives his life, the chances that he didn't knock up anyone ever are like 0. Let's be honest. He has at least one love child. Okay, and that child is Ben.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I agree.
That is my preamble fact for you.
Well, I had a fact that kind of links to it because on the DVD special features, I can actually watch along this time because they've split it up differently for season 3, where the behind the scenes episodes about the episodes are on each disc instead of having to wait until the very end.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah, I don't know if it continues, but at least for the first disc it has. So on that, for episode 2, Kripke is talking about the fact that he was a new father at this time at the start of season 3. And so he had kids on the brain, and he said he writes what you relate to, and he was really interested into delving into what is dark and creepy about having kids, which I thought was really fun. So that's why he did this episode.
Fun.
Yeah.
Oh. It's interesting because it struck me as a really pink horror episode. Like the horror of motherhood, especially single motherhood. Like that felt really like pointed in this episode. And I thought that it was done really well. I thought it was super creepy. It was but also creepy. Just like really fun, and like I love this episode so much. I think the balance of lightheartedness and us laughing at Dean to the level of horror is really good.
They're my favourite supernatural episodes where, the horror to comedy ratio is good.
Yeah, horror comedy is my jam, and I feel like Supernatural does horror comedy the best. Like, it is one of the TV shows that does it absolutely perfectly, and I love that so much about it.
Yeah. I did also realise during this episode that it's the creepy doll and the creepy children episodes that have been some of my favourite ones, even though they really scare me. And Bloody Mary scared me, and that's one of my favourite episodes. So obviously the ones that scare me the most end up being my favourite episodes.
Yeah. Bloody Mary is definitely one of my favorites. That one's a pretty scary episode. I love this episode, and this one's pretty creepy. I love Dead in the Water, and I feel like Dead in the Water is underrated in terms of the horror factor. It's a genuinely scary episode, but I feel like it's one that gets missed out on sometimes on the lists.
Yeah. This episode reminded me of that a bit. How Dean was with Ben was very similar to how he was with, I can't remember the kid's name in that episode, but yeah.
Yeah, same page. I also cannot remember his name. But yeah, the issue that I have, this is the perfect segue, so thank you for that. I don't think that I wrote down a single thirst trap in my notes because it's so wholesome. Like, the whole episode is so wholesome. So I have like no, I think the closest ones that I have are I still can't say her name. Like, I just need her to say her actual name so that I can say her name so that I don't have to keep calling her Demon Barbie Girl or Mysterious Blonde Girl. The Demon Barbie Girl is very hot. Thirst trap. Okay, Sam researching looks really cool. Pretty hot. But because Dean is so busy being a dad, I find that really adorable and wholesome, and just like, it gives me the happy butterflies of cuteness. Like, it's not the same thing as a thirst trap though. So like, there's not really thirst traps for me in this episode.
I had a load at the end for both of them. It was just basically the whole rescue scene and
the
flamethrowers.
Which is awesome, but I was too busy going, oh my god, he is a Winchester. Look at this tiny baby Winchester being tiny baby Winchester, and like telling the girls to go first.
Yeah, he was being his so jacket
heroic. Down. Yeah. So he's a mini Dean. Like, he's literally a mini Dean. I'm obsessed.
He's definitely Dean's.
It's like book boyfriend levels of I'm obsessed with it. This is like book baby, okay? It's the romance trope.
Baby.
It's a romance trope where it's like the surprise pregnancy romance trope. You surprise you have a child with this girl that you really like a lot. That kind of like romance novel trope. And I'm here for it, okay? I'm here for like bookish romance and the adorable child.
I don't know whether they will, and he won't be able to tell me because it'll be a spoiler, but I hope that we see Ben again and Lisa. But I like them.
Yeah. Do you want to synopsize us, Laura?
Yes. So this is season 3, episode 2, The Kids Are All Right. The original air date for this episode was October 11th, 2007. Sam and Dean investigate a freak accident in a gated community where Lisa, a woman Dean had a fling with just over 8 years ago, lives. And Dean meets Lisa's son Ben, who bears a striking resemblance to him and has just turned 8 years old. When more accidents start happening and they realise the children in the community are behaving strangely, Sam and Dean discover that changelings, creatures that replace children and feed on their mothers, are behind the killings. They work out where the real children are being kept, rescue them, and kill the main changeling, saving the community. Meanwhile, the mysterious blonde woman from last episode reveals to Sam that she knows secrets about his past and says she can help him save Dean from his deal with the Crossroads demon.
That was a really good synopsis. Good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, I am literally dying to get to the point where we know her name so that I can just say her name. Like, I'm really hoping this isn't an Azazel situation for that much longer, because this is too much of a mouthful.
Yeah, I want to know what her name is as well.
Yeah.
I like her. Just saying, I do like her. She's a good character.
Love her. She's a fantastic character.
Yeah.
I think based on the interviews and the things that I've read at this time, Kripke was interested in, he was trying to build in a stronger sort of female interesting character. Like, they'd had a swing and a miss with Joe, because I disagree vehemently. I know other people do too. But they felt that the chemistry between Joe and Dean and that storyline felt too forced. And I think
I liked them.
No, I loved it. What I think they did was I think they did not know how to fit her into the show regularly,
Yeah.
which left either killing her off or making them be apart for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those rules of TV where if your main characters are too happy, it ruins
Yeah.
it if it's a horror show. So you can never let your main characters be too happy because then there's not enough drama. But
Yeah.
I actually disagree with it. I think that if you were really smart, I think you could make it work.
Yeah, I think so.
And I'd actually really like to see that.
And Jo was a hunter. Like, she could have, like, gone with them.
So one of my notes on, I almost said her name, on Mysterious Blonde Girl for this episode is that I feel like she is literally just a rehashing of Jo's character. So they figured it out, and then they made Jo into this character, and then throw her at Sam, basically.
Yeah. Are we going to see Jo ever again? Is that a spoiler?
I feel like you know the answer to, is that a spoiler?
Okay. I will be sad if we don't see her again. I like Jo and Ellen.
I love Jo and Ellen. I can't say anything more because if I do, it'll be a spoiler.
Okay.
So that's all I can say about that. Very, very cryptic. So I thought that this episode starts out really creepy. Like, I feel like the creepy momentum picks up hard right at the beginning, where you have this young mom standing outside her house, and she looks worried and kind of impatient. Like, it's a strange mixture of emotions on her face. A car pulls up in the driveway, and this young girl who looks to be about 10 or younger steps out, and her father does too. And the girl runs to her mom and hugs her. And so they have a conversation, and the mom's like, "Thanks for driving her back here." And the dad's like, "It's not like I had a choice. She pitched a fit." And I was like, hmm. And then she asked her daughter what's wrong, and she says, "Nothing, I missed you." And then she says, "Okay, but tonight's your dad night." And at this point, like, the dad is going back into his car and driving off because he doesn't care. And or at least that's how it feels.
Like, bye.
Bye, see you never. And the mom and the girl are walking back to the house, so he's out of earshot and stuff at this point. And she says, "No, I don't like dad's night. I don't want dad to have a night anymore." And she says, "Since when? You used to love going to your dad's house, and you know he loves you. He misses you a lot." And she's like, "But I hate it there." And she's like, "You don't hate it." And she says, "Yes, I do. He's mean, and there are monsters there. I don't want to go back. Please don't let the monsters get me." And the way that that part's acted is really, really good. It hit me right in my trauma. And I was like, oh, all the dad trauma.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really, really well done. It was super, super creepy. And I was just like, well, it sets you up to think that he's this horrible person. And then later on, after you've watched the episode, you realize that she's already a changeling at this point.
See, that was what I was going to ask you. Is she already a changeling? Because I was like, we didn't find out what he did that was mean.
Yeah. So she's trying to make up excuses so that she can stay with her food source.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's what it's about. And then also immediately afterwards, he gets murdered by her, clearly, the changeling her. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we then cut to the dad doing some woodwork in his garage. He's making a rocking horse, and someone is watching him from behind his car. He leaves to go back into the house and turns off the light. As he does, the table saw turns on and looks around, wondering how it happened, and goes over to turn it off again. And he leans really unnecessarily close to the blade at this point. I was shouting at the television for him to turn it off at the wall instead.
I was like this is 100% not going to end well.
No. I was like, don't put your face that close to it and turn it off at the wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he goes to leave again, and then it turns on again. And then he goes over to turn it off again, and he gets even closer to the blade. And whatever was watching him before sneaks up behind him and pushes him onto the saw. And this was really gruesome because there was blood splattering everywhere, and the blade is like right through his chest. And he was like gurgling on blood as well at one point. It was really gruesome.
Yeah, it's the gore is 10 out of 10. Like, it looks like he's being dissected open in front of you. It's really well acted. It's horrific. It is so scary. I also would like to note that I wrote down sus low camera angle following him. He's gonna die.
Yeah.
I was like, you're absolutely about to be murdered by a child-sized thing.
And then when he's dead, the camera pans up to see the rocking horse that he was making, rocking back and forth on his own. And then I had a note to say, was it just me? Or had he not actually finished that? And then
Yeah.
when he died, it was then finished. And I was like, is this magic? Because it was
Ooh.
rocking. It was all, I don't think it had like one of the rockers on it when he was like went to leave and go back into his house. Anyway.
I mean, if that is true, it would go kind of well with certain Celtic folklore about fae interference and changelings and stuff. So that could be possible. And
Or
that would
maybe
make it extra creepy, maybe.
the changeling finished making it.
Yeah.
So then we get the really super cool title card. I'm loving season 3 title cards. I won't keep
They're
bringing it up
very
every
cool.
episode.
She totally will.
I really like it. So yeah, Sam is in a cafe and is on the phone with Bobby, and they're clearly trying to work out a way to get Dean out of his deal with the Crossroads demon, and it's not working. And then Dean knocks on the window. He's outside, and he's waving some paper at Sam. As he comes in, Sam tells Bobby he has to go and hangs up. And Dean asks who it was, and Sam, thinking quickly, says he was ordering a pizza. And then Dean is like, you do realise you're in a restaurant? And I just wrote, oh, Sammy, that was a rubbish excuse. You could have just said it was Bobby and you were asking him about the case.
Yeah, I write down, smart Sam is sexy. Laura will be happy. And then I was like, it's really refreshing that he's being the shifty, heroic brother for a change. Because usually it's Dean lying to him to protect him. This time it's the other way around. And he said, just Domino's. And then where Dean's like, dude, you realize you're in a restaurant. And Dean's eyebrows go so high that it reminds me of The Rock. Like, he is so incredulous. His eyebrows almost float off of his head. It's great. It is an awesome scene. And then Dean calls him Weirdy McWeirderton. He says, okay, Weirdy McWeirderton.
That's funny.
And that was, it's so funny. I love this sequence. Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah, Sam needs to get better at lying though if he's going to be doing it anymore.
I just thought I had mixed feelings because on the one hand I was like, wait, he went to Stanford and this is the lie that he comes up with. And then on the other hand, I was like, it does make it funnier because we know how smart he is, funny. And this is the stupidest lie that you could possibly come up with in the moment. So yeah, I don't know. It was pretty great.
Yeah. So Dean says he thinks he's found a case and shows Sam a newspaper, and it shows the man that we just saw die. Although I don't think that picture looks like him. But anyway,
no,
I wouldn't have recognised him.
No, immediately I was like, "What? Who?" Okay.
And Sam's like, you think this is a case? And it turns out Dean just wants to go to the town to see a woman he had a fling with 8 years ago. And he says it's his dying wish when Sam challenges it. And from Sam's response, we know that Dean has clearly been using this card a lot lately.
Yeah. And like we saw it a little bit in last episode too, but it is hilarious. And like I love how absolutely like just at the end of his tether, Sam is starting to get with Dean. He's like, how many more of these are you going to do? And Dean's basically like, as many as you're going to let me get away with.
I think he shouldn't let him get away with it because it was his choice.
I think that he should appreciate that his brother sacrificed himself and give him whatever he wants, but also somebody needs to rein Dean in.
Yeah, he's had like an episode now of just, doing whatever. He needs to get his head back in the game. So then we got to Dean dropping Sam off at a motel, and he's like, "Don't wait up for me, Sammy." And this is really funny.
How many signs does this motel need? Can I just say, there's like 65 signs. I was like, is the theme for this episode signs?
That is true. There was a lot. I thought this was hilarious because he kept revving his engine as Sam is getting his bags out of the car because he's clearly in a rush to go and see a woman who doesn't even know he's coming.
He almost runs him over. Like, it's like that level of like, he like hurls the stuff out of the car and then almost like pulls him along. Like, it's the best. It's so funny.
I think he drives off with the doors still open as well.
Yeah. It is hilarious. I love that part so much.
So then Dean drives into a suburb which looks similar to the one being built in Bugs, I thought. And he also he pulls up to a house with balloons outside, which again is reminiscent of Bugs because there was balloons outside that house because we made a whole thing about red balloons.
Yep.
And he looks at a piece of paper to check he's got the right address and then gets out and knocks on the door. And then a woman opens and looks surprised. And then I wrote, Dean literally looks her up and down and is a bit pervy, to be honest. But she smiles and greets him.
Yeah.
And then Dean says, Lisa, how's it going? And she asks how long it's been. Dean says 8 going on 9 years now. And she asks what he's doing there. And he says he was just passing through. Yeah, okay. Just this random suburb. I wrote lies. She keeps saying wow and is basically trying to close the door on him. And he's just smiling at her. And she says he came at a bad time because they're having a party. She's trying to get rid of him. Like, Dean is not getting this.
Dean is like a puppy. He in
invites
his mind, this is what's happening. Like, he's so sure that she's as into him as he is into her, and that that she is gonna be as happy to see him as he is to see her.
Wouldn't he think, like, they're in a suburb, like, she might have a family now and a husband. I mean, she doesn't in the episode, but
no.
you know.
Yeah. Well, he asks her at one point because he starts to finally get a clue as things sort of carry on, and he starts to kind of realize that she has a child, and he's like, oh shit, are you married?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's so in love with Lisa, or in lust with Lisa.
Yeah.
That I don't think he can see past his fantasies.
Hasn't hit him
honestly
yet.
Like, he has no idea.
He's still thinking about the time they spent together and is just like, oh, we can do that again.
Yeah, he's walking around in a lavender haze.
Yeah. So then we cut to a garden where a kid's birthday party is in full swing. And my initial notes, I wrote, if there is a clown at this party, I'm going to lose it. When I was watching it, I was like, there better not be a clown. And Dean asks who the party's for, and she says her son, Ben, and points him out. And this is so cute. He has a jacket like Dean wears, and Dean's hair, and is unwrapping an AC/DC CD. That's hard to say. AC/DC CD.
Yeah, that's a lot of CDs.
And he says, yes, AC/DC rules. And he's so cute.
You just see Dean go kind of white, and then just be like, how old?
Yeah.
And Lisa says 8. And then she gets distracted and says, could you excuse me? Well, distracted. I'm doing air quotes because we all know that this is Dean's child, okay? And she has to be excused. And Dean looks like he's been hit in the head again, okay? And he is shook. And he says, yeah, sure, don't mind me. And Ben is eating a sandwich exactly the same way that Dean eats. And Dean, if I remember correctly, is also eating in this scene. Like, I think he has some birthday cake.
I forgot he had a sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah. And you watch them eat in unison, like exactly the same way. And you start to see Dean be like, this child is a clone of me.
They do that with a cake later, which is funny.
Yeah. So then the next scene, there's these 2 women sitting there and they're whispering. And the first one says, did you hear Lisa call him Dean? And woman 2, who's like the redhead, says, yeah, why? And woman 1 says, you don't know about Dean? The Dean? Best night of my life? Dean? And woman 2 says, no, tell me. And woman 1 says, oh my God. So they had this crazy, semi-illegal. And then she cuts off when she sees Dean kind of walking up. And he says, hi, because he sees them staring at him in a weird way. And they keep looking at him, and she says hi, and I wrote down that I thought that she was going to disengage her jaw and devour him whole. That is the vibe. It's scary a little bit. And so he's like, I need to leave now. He's terrified. And he tries to leave, but he goes in the wrong direction, and it's so funny. So, like, he tries to get away from them, and he's like a fawn. He goes in one direction, realizes he can't escape that way, and then runs in the other direction practically. It is so hilarious.
Funny. All right, they're being so thirsty. Hey, that's our job.
Yes, that is our job.
Also, I just want to point out Ben's cake had cars, like vintage cars on the top. So another similarity to Dean.
Again, like, it's just, this is his child, okay? The lore has spoken.
Definitely is.
Yeah. I would just like to point out that given how on point my Easter eggs have been, I feel like Kripke and I are like in the same headspace. And I'm just going to say, I feel like I can speak for him and just say, he was sleep deprived when he said that Ben was not Dean's child. Then that's wrong.
Yeah, he was a new father. He was sleep deprived.
So they also, I just died. So like a mom and a daughter walk past, and Dean is looking at the mom and checking her out while Ben is checking out the kid his age in the
Yeah.
exact same way at the exact same time. And I laughed so hard, you guys. Seriously, like I almost fell off the sofa. And Ben sees Dean is like, "What's up?" And Dean's like, "What's up with you?" And Dean says, "So it's your birthday." And Ben says, "Guilty," which is literally the most Dean thing that he could possibly say. And Dean's like, "It's a cool party." And Ben's like, "Dude, it's so freaking sweet in this moon bounce. It's epic." And Dean's like, this is pretty awesome. Because he's like, "Yeah, it's good, but like, I don't know why you're so hyped." And then Ben says, "You know who else thinks they're awesome? Chicks. It's like hot chick city out there." And Ben smacks Dean on the chest like bro to bro. And Dean watches bemusedly as Ben sets his cake down and follows the girl into the moon bounce. And he says, "Look out, ladies, here comes trouble."
Right. This was funny. But this kid is 8. Like, would he really be looking at girls in that way yet? I didn't think that was very believable.
Um
And also, he shouldn't be objectifying girls.
Thank you for ruining my comedy. Thank you.
Or did I add to it?
Like, I will say from my experience of 8-year-old American boys of this era, that's pretty accurate. Like, there's nothing behind it, but like, they imitate their fathers and their brothers.
Okay, so maybe it's a commentary on that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Dean's face is a picture though, because you could tell he's just like, this kid is definitely mine.
Yeah, so this transcript and basically what I wrote down more or less mirror each other. And basically, you have Ben saying, "Look out, ladies, here comes trouble." And Dean watches him, rolls his eyes up into his head as he does mental arithmetic, like panicking. Then
Yeah.
tries to like go to find Lisa to be like, "Is this my child? This seems like this is my child." Runs into the trash, bounces off of it, walks away after almost falling over. Like, it is one of the funniest things I have ever seen in my entire life, guys. This is peak supernatural comedy.
I had a note here though to say, was this supposed to happen, or was this Jensen tripping over and then they kept it in? Because it could be either way, because it does
It could
work.
be either.
It
But
definitely
also,
works.
mad respect because Dean holds on to his piece of cake even when he flies into that trash can and almost face plants. So like the priorities are right.
But it's how he trips. He makes it look really natural, but it does look like a genuine trip. Like it could
It
have been a
does.
Jensen accident.
Yeah, it could be a Jensen accident. Like either it was brilliant
Yeah.
accidental comedy and they left it in, or Jensen
Or
is
it's really good
so
acting.
good. So good. Because it is so real. It looks very, very real.
Yeah, it was really funny. So then Lisa is talking to the mum from the start because she's arrived with the creepy kid to the party. And she's asking how she is. And I just want to note, this woman has no name. Like on IMDb, she is listed as Katie's mum. Like she doesn't have a name, which I don't think
Do
is
you know
very
what
fair.
this reminds me of is I'm going to shout out my friend Priscilla, who is Release the Crafton on YouTube. And on YouTube, they tell feminist retellings of fairy tales. And one of the things that they're always pointing out is the fact that like the women in the stories do not have a name. They do not have an identity outside of mom, usually.
Yeah.
And generally, they are almost always dead, also, just saying. So there's like no female agency in the stories. But yeah, I highly recommend the Storycraft series on YouTube by Release the Crafton. Also, really, really good point because that's like so typical and it's kind of gross.
Yeah. I was like, come on, writers. You can give her a name.
This was Sarah Gamble. My nemesis.
She's more than a mother, Sarah.
Yeah, she has an identity, Sarah. You're supposed to be on the same team.
But anyway, so Katie's mom, which is what she will now be known as, tells Lisa that she doesn't think her daughter, Katie, is her daughter and there's something really wrong with her. And Lisa's like, dude, you can't say that. And tells her she needs help, basically.
Yeah. She's like, we're going to get you some help, okay?
Yeah. You can't say that about your kid. And then she gets annoyed and gets her kid and leaves. And then Dean comes in and asks Lisa if Ben is his. But she says no, but she's acting hella shifty and I don't believe her.
No one believes her, okay? Even the actress playing her does not believe her.
No, I'm going to believe her.
We all know.
Dean notices the woman and girl leaving and asks if something's wrong because he can, like, there must be some tension there.
Yeah.
And Lisa says she's just going through a lot. Her ex just died in a horrible accident. And Dee's like, oh yeah, I know about that guy.
Yeah.
And Lisa says there's been a lot of bad luck in the neighborhood lately. And then Dean asks what kind of bad luck. And then we cut to Sam.
I love how happy you are about that. I would like to point out that in my initial watch notes, I only take one set of watch notes because I'm not that committed. Dean says, he's not, is he? And then he does the eyebrows. And Lisa jumps and says, what?
Yeah, she's like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, like she jumps out of her skin, okay? Which is how we know that she's lying. She says that he's not. And I just wrote liar in like all caps and underlined
she's
in
lying.
my notes.
I agree. So back at the motel, Sam is doing some research. So we can assume this is kind of what's happening because they're separated for quite a bit at the beginning of the episode. So while Dean's at the party, Sam's doing this.
This is in the diner though, isn't it? Not the motel.
Oh, okay. So he's still in the diner. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's doing some research in the diner and the mysterious blonde woman sits down with him. And she's like, hello, Sam. Sam says she's been following him. And I wrote in my note, she basically has an orgasm over a chip.
Yeah. It's even funnier because of what she says to him when he asks her, like, what she's doing. She's making it very, like, when Harry met Sally.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And I love this scene so much. She also calls them deep fried crack.
Yeah. That was funny.
And that had me laughing so hard. And then Sam says that knife you had, you can kill demons with that thing. And she says, sure comes in handy when I have to swoop in and save the damsel in distress, which is Sam. And I was like, oh, Sam's a damsel. And I laughed so hard. Sam is like, what do you mean? In his face. He doesn't say that, but like his face says that. And he says, where'd you get it? And mysterious blonde girl says Sky Mall. And I laughed so hard. I feel like people do know, but like Sky Mall is basically an American shopping chain that you could purchase from anywhere. So like think like an actual mall, and then also QVC, and then also if you were on an airplane, you could get things from Sky Mall.
Yeah, on an airplane.
She says she got the knife from Sky Mall.
This like demon killing knife.
Yeah. Sam says, why are you following me? And she says, I'm interested in you. And Sam says, why? And then she says, because you're tall. I love a tall man. And then there's the whole Antichrist thing. I love the way she says, I love a tall man. It was everything. And then there's like a little bit of a beat. And she says, and then there's the whole Antichrist thing. So it's like she flirts with him. And then she tells him that he's the devil. And I personally love that. That makes so much sense to me. That entire move is just 10 out of 10. Loved it. Thought it was great.
Yeah, I do like her.
And Sam starts to look like a little baby deer, and he's like, excuse me?
What do you mean I'm an Antichrist?
Demon Barbie goes in so hard now. She's like, generation of psychic kids, yellow-eyed demon rounds you up, celebrity deathmatch ensues, you're the sole survivor. And Sam is like, how do you know about that? And she says, I'm a good hunter. So Yellow Eyes had some pretty big plans for you, Sam. And Sam's like, had being the keyword. And she's like, oh, yeah, that's right. Ding dong, the demon's dead. Good job with that. It doesn't change the fact that you're special in that Anthony Michael Hall ESP Visions kind of way. And that was so funny for so many reasons, but one of them being that that's a Stephen King reference.
I missed that. I was like, I don't know this.
It's a Stephen King reference, and it is also from the year of our birth, 1983. So it's the demon baby birth year as well. So it's just like an
I forgot you're a demon baby too.
Yeah, I'm a fire baby.
You're a fire baby.
Fire babies.
They had another Wizard of Oz quote as well, which they've had quite a few.
They
surprisingly
Stephen King and The Wizard of Oz. And to be fair, if you combine Stephen King and The Wizard of Oz, you kind of get supernatural. So it works. It works. So Sam's like, no, that stuff's not happening anymore. Yellow Eyes is dead. Mystery Demon Girl says, well, I'm thinking you're still a pretty big deal. I mean, after all that business with your mom. And Sam's like, what about my mom? And she says, you know what happened to her friends. And then he tries to not give too much information away, but she knows. She can read him anyway, which is really fun. And she's like, you don't know. You've got a little bit of catching up to do, my friend. Yeah, So why don't you look into your mom's pals? And then she like seductively takes his hand, writes her number on his hand in a pen, and says, and then give me a call and we'll talk again. And then she gets up to leave and says, and by the way, you know there's a job in this town, right? And it's just so good. Like, I love to see a woman coming in and owning the Winchesters. Day one.
Yeah, I think that's why I like her.
Killing it. So this was absolutely brilliant. And then Sam's phone rings and it's Dean. And he's in his car outside of Lisa's house saying, dude, there's a job here. And Sam's like, really? Because he's like, I do not want her to be right about this. And Dean says about the freak accident that they read about in the paper and that there was 4 more that never even made it into the paper. And at the Morning Hill gated community, they have people falling off of ladders and drowning in their jacuzzis all over the neighborhood. And Sam's like, well, that's weird.
Oh, dear, that doesn't sound good.
No. And he's like, yeah. No, we won't go there. Dean says, yeah, something's up, something these nice big gates can't protect them from. And I thought that was good. Because it is such a ridiculously rich neighborhood. You're trying to feel sorry for them, but also in this economy.
So then we cut to Katie's mom. Asleep on the sofa.
My brain went, Katie's mom has got it going on. To be fair, that woman is a thirst trap. But also, I just couldn't help myself with that song reference. Like, it just straight into my brain. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, she's asleep on the sofa and wakes up. And as she sits up, we realise Katie is right next to her, staring at her, and makes her jump because she's being creepy.
Oh, Supernatural Wiki transcript. The person who wrote this really came through because they said that she has fallen asleep with the book The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova, which is a vampire novel, on the pillow.
Yeah.
So she's being drained by her vampiric changeling child. You guys can't see the creepy vampire fingers that I'm doing right now, but Laura can see my little Nosferatu fingers. So yeah.
That's a cool little fun fact. She gets up and the creepy kid hugs her and tells her she loves her. And then the mum looks at their reflection in the mirror and is horrified to see that her daughter in the reflection looks wet and has a gross decaying skin. That was disgusting.
It is gross.
She pushes her away and she looks normal, like not in the mirror. And Katie says she's hungry. And then my initial notes were, ew, creepy children. Are they changelings?
Yeah. Because she says it like, I'm hungry, mommy. Yeah. Like, she does not, it's not a normal.
But this was so weird because I don't know if I would have made the link to Changelings straight away because they haven't said that yet. But I had listened to a podcast that exact day about Changelings. It was really weird. One of those like synchronicity moments.
Spooky.
So then Sam is at one of the other houses talking to another mum who probably doesn't have a name. So he's pretending to be with a life insurance company and is talking to a woman whose husband fell from a ladder. And he's asking what happened. She says she wasn't there, just their daughter, Dakota. Cue creepy kid staring at them through the window. And then Sam notices a red handprint near the window and another on the fence that looks like blood. And these marks are bright red and they do look like paint or blood. I'm just pointing this out because I have a rant later.
Okay.
As he's leaving, he notices that the mum has a mark on the back of her neck. And I wrote, it looks like a hickey from a sea lamprey.
It does. That's a very realistic description of how it looks.
Ew. So then we cut to Katie's mum making lunch. Apparently she's making burnt toast.
I was going to say she's like clearly supposed to be doing like a grilled cheese, but she's burning the shit out of it. And she also looks super pale. So I think we're supposed to like, it's adding to the horror of it. That just like the subtle things that just are not right.
Yeah. Just being fed on every night.
Yeah, she's also clearly in pain. Like she acts like her neck hurts.
Because she's got a changeling hickey as well.
Yeah, she does. Ugh, changeling hickey.
The kid is being really creepy still, just staring at it like, how do I eat?
How do I eat something that's not sucking the synovial fluid out of your spine?
Ew.
There's literally like spinal fluid is what that is, which is disgusting. Also, it's basically like joint lubrication. That's what its purpose is.
Ugh.
So the fairy babies need to be lubed up. Like they're little creaky little joints. Is that how they grow? I don't know. It's just gross. It's gross.
She looks like she's in pain and goes to the bathroom. And this is where we see she has a changeling hickey. She's been in the bathroom for literally a second, and Katie starts banging on the door, wanting to be let in. And she keeps saying, "Mummy, let me in," over and over again, shaking the door. And I was like, I'd be so freaked out if this was my kid.
Yeah. But like the thing is like young kids do that too, though. Like the number of friends of mine who are like, "Why can't I ever pee by myself?" or whatever, or
Yeah.
they have a tantrum outside of the bathroom, like banging on the door, like they're about to break it down. Like they really do that. Like it actually is just like this is like pink horror. This is like children horror, mom edition. Also, fun fact about like human reproduction is that the way that the human placenta is designed is basically like that child is like a vampire to you. So,
Yeah.
like, biologically speaking, human babies are a lot like little vampires. And most other mammals, there's a thing that would like cause it to shut off and stop that feature if something was going really wrong, but humans don't have it at all, which
Yeah.
I think is horrific and just adds to the horror of motherhood and all that kind of stuff for me. I just go, bleh.
Yeah. So then we hear a doorbell, and the banging and the shouting stops. And then one of the women from the party is there with a hamper of food. And I just wrote, this woman is being an arsehole.
She's such a bitch.
Yeah. I think she works for like a realty place and is asking if she's going to keep the house. And I
Yeah.
assume because her ex-husband died, but like,
Yeah, I wrote
why?
down, wow, she is a vulture. And then I wrote real estate demon in like parentheses. And that was funny later on because I was totally right. She is a real estate demon.
Yeah.
Um,
But I was like,
and
but
then,
why is she now asking if he died? Like, did he still own the house? He had a different house.
okay, so my assumption is that, I mean, like, I find this hard to believe anyway because you would have to have so much money to live in that house. But
Yeah.
anyway, miraculously, this woman can afford it after her divorce. So I think we're supposed to assume that his child support payments mean that they had it and maybe the mortgage was paid off, but she didn't know if she would stay in the same neighborhood after he died if she wasn't going to have that income from him because we have to assume that she's a
Oh,
full-time
okay.
mom
Yeah.
at this point. Her kid's young. Maybe she can work a part-time job, but she cannot work full-time with a child that young, right? So I think that's where the assumption or the like greed is coming from the real estate company. But it is
Okay.
disgusting. And I thought it was a really great piece of cultural satire because
Yeah.
like that's really real, that kind of shit. And I love that they put that as a horror element in the show.
Well, Katie's mum basically tells her to fuck off anyway, and I was like, good for her.
Yeah.
And then she closes the door, and Katie is right in her face again, saying she wants ice cream. And I just wrote, "You creepy kids again."
She's like, "Mommy, I want ice cream." And I wrote, "Burn her." Because Nick does this thing. We watched this YouTube channel called CJ's, and she's always like, "Ew, no, burn it." When it's like kids doing creepy stuff, that's something that she says. And so Nick has taken to saying "burn her" when it comes to like creepy kid stuff. So my initial thought, like watching this, was "burn her," which actually, to be fair, yes, you should. So
With a flamethrower.
yeah,
This little girl actress, who's probably not a little girl anymore, she's really good though at playing like a really creepy kid.
she's an amazing actress. She
Yeah.
is phenomenal.
Oh, I give her a trophy later for her scream.
She does a good scream. We do care about screams here. That's high praise coming from Laura.
So then we cut to Dean getting in his car, and he sees Ben sitting on a bench at the park, and he goes over to speak to him. I wrote, a little bit inappropriate, but cute, so we'll allow it. Just speaking to some child that you don't technically know. Dean asks Ben if something's wrong as he looks sad, and he says some boys over there took his game and won't give it back. And Dean asks if he wants him to go over. And Ben interrupts in saying, no, only bitches send a grown up. And I'm not sure how I feel about this, but Dean is impressed.
To be honest, not the best phrasing, but pretty true. If you're being bullied and those kids see you send a grown-up over, it is going to get 20 times worse. So he has a point.
Yeah, I thought overall it's cute, but maybe it just hasn't aged very well. Because then they fat shame one of the boys in a minute as well. And then Ben then goes over to them, so we assume that Dean has told him to go over and get his game back, although we didn't see this. And then Ben goes over and asks for it back. They all laugh at him, so he kicks Ryan in the balls. And Dean thinks this is hilarious and gives him a high five.
It is hilarious. Funny. Yeah.
And then Lisa turns up and she is mad.
Yeah.
There's a really funny moment here as well when she's shouting at Ben and realizes that Dean must have put him up to it, and they both look down at the same time like, oh no, we're in trouble.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I wrote, for real, the best part is Lisa angry and all violence is not the answer, and Ben and Dean identically look away and go, oh shit.
Yeah.
Because that's their expression.
Because they are the same.
They are the same person, yeah.
Because Ben is Dean's.
Yeah, 100%.
So Lisa tells Dean he has no business with her son. And I was like, well, that's fair, I suppose. And then grabs Ben's hand to lead him away. But Ben breaks free and runs back to hug Dean and says thanks.
It's so cute. It's cute. So wholesome and adorable and beautiful. Yeah. And then immediately it's scary because the kids at the park all turn around like the cuckoo kids. Like they've all been replaced. And Dean's looking at them like, what the fuck is wrong with you? He's like, there's something not right here.
They're creepy.
It's so weird and gross.
Well, then next we have quite a dark scene, actually. So Katie's mom is buckling Katie into the car. And Katie's stroking her hair and telling her how much she loves her. And I wrote, these changelings are very touchy-feely. I don't like it.
Well, they're gross and creepy because, they're just trying to, like, latch on to the back of her neck, and that's why she's doing what she's doing. And she also says it's so weird. She's like, I love you most in the whole wide world, mommy. Like, it's just not right. It's not right.
No, creepy kids.
Yeah, terrifying. This is why we don't have children,
This is exactly why.
This is exactly why. No demon babies.
This is the exact reason. She gets in the driver's seat and looks back at Katie in the mirror because the mirror seems to be showing them in their true form.
Yeah.
And we see she has like an alien type face almost with a round sucky mouth and it's rank.
It is horrible. I wrote, oh my God, the mirror jump scare. I thought that was terrifying. And Katie says, are we going to get ice cream now? As she's driving.
Ice cream.
Yeah. You see that she's taking her to a lake, and I wrote ice cream with the fishes. And then I was like, bye.
Yeah, so she asks, what's wrong, mummy? And then I just wrote, the mum has had enough of this creepy kid, so decides to drown her.
Yeah.
So she drives to a river or a lake or something, gets out of the car, but takes the handbrake off and lets it roll into the water. And the kid is just staring at her in an evil way the whole time. It's
smiling, really smiling. Yeah. And the mom is like, oh my God, what the hell? And I wrote, the demon looks at her like, water cannot kill me.
I'll see you in a minute.
Yeah, I was just like, this poor woman.
I have a fun fact here from the special features. Kripke said that he couldn't believe they got away with this scene on the show, on a CW show, because it's really dark. Because her mum is literally drowning her kid, even though it's not her kid, but
she's killing a demon, Laura.
Yeah.
I'm also surprised. I was a little bit reshooketh when I was watching this because I forgot about this scene. It is terrifying and creepy. Like the acting is so good, and the cut back and forth between like the creepy changeling baby with her evil smile going into the water like, this is like a spa day for me, mother. And then like the mom being like, oh my God, what am I doing? What if I'm wrong? Like questioning her sanity. It's very Damien-esque and kind of like Rosemary's Baby sort of vibes. Like it's just, it's the best of the kid horror stuff. Yeah. So Katie's mom goes home and goes inside, and she slams and locks the door behind her because she's terrified and she's crying, bawling. Because I suppose also, even if she's not questioning if she did the wrong thing and she absolutely believes that she just killed the thing that took her daughter, then where is her daughter? And is her daughter still alive? Like, that's heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
And then in the kitchen, seated over this massive puddle of water, is Katie, just dripping like fucking Samora coming out of the well.
Yeah.
Um,
Burn it.
and Katie says, "Hi, mommy. Can I have that ice cream now?"
Like, shut up about your ice cream. She also does the scariest smile I've ever seen in this bit as well.
Yeah, this is a Kubrick 10 out of 10, kind of like super, super scary.
Yeah, it was really scary. Then we get a Sam thirst trap because he's researching changelings.
Yes.
And this is where on my initial watch through, I was like, yes, I was right, it is changelings. Dean comes in and says there's something wrong with the kids in this town. And Sam says, yeah, tell me about it. And Sam asks what he knows about changelings. And Dean, he says something, but then he says, they're creepy, stare at you like your lunch kids, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too. I also really like, I think this is from, Supernatural Wiki said, but I went into the facts page part, that the pages that you see on Sam's laptop are literally just Wikipedia's pages on changelings. It's the same thing.
Cool. Sam confirms and then says that there's one in every victim's house. And then Sam gives Dean the changeling lore.
But he also says that they're not necessarily children, which is important. And then I'm going to drop my Easter egg, okay? So Sam says, so changelings can perfectly mimic children. According to the lore, they climb in the window, snatch the kid. You know, there were marks on the windowsill at one of the kids' houses. Looked to me like blood.
Yes, I agree. It did look like blood.
And I feel like Laura has a rant about the blood-looking stuff.
Yeah, not yet, though.
We'll get there, I'm sure. It might be the same sort of vein as what my thought was about that. But basically, he's saying that they grab kids and that changelings feed on the mom, the synovial fluid. The moms have these odd bruises on the backs of their necks. Changelings can drain them for a few weeks before the mom finally croaks. And then Dean says, yeah, and then there's the dad and the babysitter. Sam says, yeah, seems like anyone who gets between the changeling and its food source ends up dead. And Dean holds up a torch and says, fire's the only way to waste them. And Sam nods and says, yep. And Dean's like, great. We'll just bust in, drag the kids out, torch them on the front lawn. That'll play great with the neighbors.
I love sarcasm.
Yeah. And then he says, what about the real ones? And Sam says, according to the lore, they stashed them underground somewhere. I don't know why, but if it's true, the real kids might be out there. And Dean says, we better start looking. So any kid in the neighborhood is vulnerable? And Sam's like, yeah. He says, we got to make a stop. I want to check on someone. If anything is a thirst trap for me, it's this part. Yeah. And Sam's like, well, Dean, the real kids are still alive. We don't have time. And then Dean's like, we have to. And I was just like, I love you. You are adorable. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm a couple of different things folklore-wise. So number one, we know that mirrors that are silver-backed and also black mirrors, which is the table, can reflect the truth because of the nature of them. They're like a scrying thing. And one of the ways to see through things like fairy glamour is things that allow you to sort of pierce the veil like that, or that have an object that would break a glamour, right? So that does track. The whole feeding on the life force thing sort of does. And changeling lore isn't only Celtic, but because I know it so well, I'm focusing on the Celtic aspects rather than hopping around. And also because my Easter egg was a little bit longer, I needed to narrow down my field of search. But I do have links in my show notes if you guys want to deep dive a little bit more, look around a bit more. We do find them in other areas of the world, and we definitely find them throughout Europe. But I thought it was interesting that a lot of them tend to be pretty similar. So when he says that they keep the kids underground, normally that would be that they would be in like a fairy hill fort, which would literally be sometimes in a burial mound, but it would definitely be underground. So that also checks out. The whole feeding on the back of the neck thing, not so much. Like, it's the mother's milk that the fairy children are after in the traditional lore. And or it is for reproduction in the traditional lore. So like sometimes really beautiful women. So like if it's an adult woman, beautiful women are taken because the fairies find it difficult to reproduce on their own, is the traditional belief. So sometimes a
It's usually
woman will
like
be
babies as well
exchanged.
then for the
Yeah,
mother's
so
milk.
babies for the mother's milk specifically. So like it's for the milk and also for the reproduction in the traditional stories. Now, folklorists have a lot of different theories about why that is, but they think that it's possibly was supposed to be an explanation for failure to thrive, why some kids just don't thrive or come out differently. So the changelings were blamed. Like it was said that it was a changeling child and not your real child. And in a lot of ways, it was supposed to be comforting because if you have new parents and their baby just does not do well and they think that it might pass away, it's a comforting lie to tell them, oh, it's a changeling child, it's not really your baby. It like provides this distance. Some folklorists also point out that back in a labor driven economy, when the number of kids that you had also equated to the number of workers that you had in the family, the need for them to be healthy and able bodied was really intense because they sort of needed to look after and feed themselves. And if you had a kid who couldn't do that, that would become a huge drain on the family, and the family might really struggle to be able to provide for that child.
Okay.
Yeah. So changeling lore is linked to a need for an explanation to cover some of these dark and sort of sorrowful things. And so the other way that it can be used is it can sometimes be weaponized. So I'm going to tell you an example of a real life case of a woman being accused of being a changeling and then being burned because it's very witch hunty and very
Yeah.
appropriate for the episode, I feel, because the episode is about changelings and women and their relationship to society. It feels super pink horror to me, so I felt like this was a good one. So I'm going to tell you guys the story of Bridget Cleary. Now, some of the true crime fans who like older true crime might already know this story, but I've hit it from what I feel like is a pretty deep angle, so I'm hoping that you guys are going to enjoy it, even if you already know it.
I feel like I might have heard of this before.
Okay, so Bridget Cleary was born on the 19th of February in 1869. She was an Irish woman who was murdered by her husband in 1895. So, if you want a trigger warning, before I go in deeper, there is going to be violence against women. I'm not going to go super graphic with it. I'm not going to make it super duper dark, but I am going to read to you what happened to her. If you're not in that kind of like emotional place, then just use the transcripty bit that you see on Spotify and you can skip ahead until we're no longer talking about this topic.
I can put timestamps in the show notes as well for this if you want to skip.
Perfect. It turns out that a lot of those who were accused of being changelings, according to a Irish folklore specialist, were more educated women. So they were successful women, they were empowered women. It could be women who didn't necessarily fall in line with their husbands. So this was written by a woman who studies this in detail and wrote an entire book about Bridget Cleary's case. And her name is Kristen L. Bone. So I'm going to refer to a couple of different people. So she's a literature scholar. Then there's Irish studies scholar Ellen Schiebel. And then Sarah Dern is the person who wrote the overall article. But mostly I'm pulling from Dern, Schiebel, and Bone. Okay, so she goes on to say that it could be women who didn't necessarily fall in line with their husbands, and Bone sees similarities between women accused of being changelings and those accused of witchcraft. The changelings and the witch are just another branch of the same idea, she says. Both were a means of punishing women who stepped outside of societal norms, women like Bridget Cleary.
How dare they?
Yeah. So the gruesome nature of the way that she died also mirrors witch trials. So she was set on fire. She was either set on fire while she was still alive or immediately after she died. And the gruesome nature of the case prompted extensive press coverage, and the trial was closely followed by newspapers all across Ireland. So the background of what happened is that a short article by a Lady Gregory appeared in the Spectator, so the Irish Spectator, on April 20th during the height of the Cleary sensation. That's their wording, not mine. They meant sensationalist press. She says she confirmed that here in the West, the belief in fairies, always of a malevolent sort, is very deeply rooted. She told a story that when once out walking with her husband, they met an old man who had pointed out a ring-shaped rath, saying, "That is where the fairies do be." The man was on his way back from burying his first cousin's wife, but seemed resigned at his loss, as he was from the County Clare, and said, quote, "The Clare women are a great deal cleverer than Galway women, and that makes them a great deal crosser," end quote. So basically, he was saying he wasn't surprised she died because he thought that because she was an independent woman who didn't agree with the men in her life, she was much more likely to be taken. And like, as dark as that is, it goes to show us like where we are at this point in time. 2025. So Professor Angela Burke said that this is a reoccurring theme and that, quote, cross women, those whose anger or assertiveness made them difficult for men to deal with, were often the ones said to be away with the fairies, as were those clever ones whose special skill sets set them apart. In the same year, 1895, the American folklorist Jeremiah Curtin published his Tales of the Irish Fairies. On page 158, he mentioned an old man who believed his afflicted daughter, quote, was a creature substituted by fairies for his own daughter. His daughter was a quiet, honest girl, quote, but this one had, quote, the tongue of an attorney, end quote. In Lady Gregory's example, sharp tongue and cleverness are expressly linked, as they seem to have been in the remarkably strong-willed Bridget Cleary. So literally,
just because you're not being quiet anymore and you dare to have an opinion.
Yeah. Literally.
You must be a changeling
like,
or a witch.
Have you seen that meme where it's two women burning up a stake and she's like, "Sis, what are you in for?" And the other one says, "I disagreed with this man publicly." And she's like, "Yeah, that sounds right." That's the vibe.
Dear.
That's the vibe. So the background of this, like the sort of like basic facts that we should know, are that Bridget married Michael Cleary on the 6th of August in 1887 in the Roman Catholic Church in Drengen. At the time, she was 18 years old, and she was a dressmaker's apprentice, which was an unusual vocation for a girl of her age. And Michael, who was then 27, worked as a cooper, constructing barrels and other goods. Now, I understand that people are going to say this was a different time, okay? What I'm going to say to you is I think that he was an abusive husband, and abusive men are a lot more likely to marry vulnerable women who are younger than them. There tends to be more of an age gap because they want to have more control. So I'm going to put forward the case that you can make the argument that it's a different time, which is lightly flawed because historically that is not as common as people think that it was. And I think this era would have been slightly different. Like, we're coming towards the early 1900s. This is the turn of the century. We're about to hit 1900. So I think if I'm remembering correctly, my stats from the last time I looked this stuff up, I don't think that that would have been necessarily like, people would not have batted eyelashes at that. But even if it was supposed to be acceptable, do keep in mind that we know that it's not okay, and that a 27-year-old man marrying an 18-year-old girl who's a teenager, very often there's going to be a pattern of manipulation and control. Which is why I bring it up.
Yeah, because they want someone who they think they can like mold into doing what they want.
Exactly. So they go on to say that in the article that despite their 8 years of marriage, the couple had no children by the time of Bridget's death, which I think is another motive, because especially in patronymic societies, your legacy was having kids and passing your name on, so your name would live on. Particularly in small towns. So women are always blamed, even though most infertility issues are actually male, which is something that they found out more recently, which I was just like, when I learned that, I was like, oh my God. But yeah, so they've been married for 8 years and they have no children. And like, that is worth commenting on. But also, we have to wonder, because Bridget is so fierce, independent, and intelligent. And like, when you learn later on the kinds of things that she was doing. I wonder if she had figured out her own kind of, like, there is birth control. Like, birth control does exist at this time. Birth control has existed since the medieval era. So, like, I don't know, but it is definitely a clue.
Maybe she didn't want children yet because she was so young.
Yep, that, but also children can definitely be a way of a man controlling women more, especially legally. So I find it really interesting, and I'm curious if it's one of the cases where, like, someone couldn't, or if she chose not to, and that was part of the reason why she got killed. So after the wedding, Bridget returned to her townland of pray for me trying to pronounce this, Ballyvedlia, to live with her parents, while Michael continued to work as a cooper in Clonmel. During this period of living apart, Bridget's independence grew, and her keeping her own flock of chickens and selling the eggs to neighbors alongside her other work. Even after Michael and Bridget moved in together, she often did things like making home deliveries on her own, says Bone. A lot of reports say that her husband didn't like that very much, but that didn't stop her from venturing out on March 4th, 1895 to deliver some eggs to her father's cousin, Jack Dunn. Now keep that in mind, because this motherfucker is one of the main reasons why what happened to her. So it's her own cousin from her dad's side. And that makes me think, like, so she's charitably giving this man eggs. All right. I assume that she's either giving him family rates or he's just not paying at all for the food that she's providing. And she's trekking a long ass way to give it to him. And he is part of the problem. So just, like, bear that in mind. So the expert goes on to say that somewhat unusually for the era and location, she was also a professional woman. She obtained a Singer sewing machine, state of the art at the time, and was variously described as a dressmaker and a milliner. So for people who don't know, millinery is usually making things like hats and accessories. I believe they sometimes do gloves as well. So it says, following on the death of Bridget's mother, the Clearys found themselves responsible for her elderly father, Patrick Boland. His residence with the couple enabled them to secure a house reserved for laborers only. Neither Bridget nor Michael was technically entitled to this cottage, but as Patrick had been a laborer in his youth, they were able to acquire the best house in the village. However, there was no widespread interest in the house, as it was built on the site of a supposed fairy ring fort.
Ooh.
Right, so now a couple of things here. Like, I think that the idea that there was no jealousy or competition for it might be a lie. Because reading a lot of what happened later, I do think that might have been a motive for her being attacked, because they have the best house in the village and they're not necessarily entitled to it, right? I think that might be another reason why certain of these men turned on her. And I think probably she would have been blamed, like, not her husband and not her father, but she probably got the blame for being, like, a precocious woman who, like, was running her own business and doing her own thing and too independent. Now, is there, like, real belief in fairies and ring forts? Absolutely, yes. But there's also a mixture of people in the town now. So you have your more educated folk, although I hate to say that, but that's, like, the way that it's worded in these historic documents, who are less likely to believe in superstitions, as it's phrased, right, in the documents, like Bridget and her husband, who are very well read, both of them. And then you have people who are dyed in the wool, like country folk, who absolutely believe it, and, like, they've lived and breathed that their whole lives. So I do think that some people, and, like, a lot of people, believed from this village that this place was potentially not a good place to live because it might get you on the wrong side of the fairies. But I don't think that everyone thought like that. And I think that's important to know when we're going further, to not blindly believe that everyone thought that fairies were real, or that everyone thought that this was why this was happening to her.
Okay.
So Bridget was reported missing in March of 1895. She'd evidently been ill for several days, more than a week into her illness. On the 13th of March, 1895, a physician visited her at her home. Her condition was considered sufficiently grave that a priest soon followed to administer the last rites. But that A doesn't make sense because she's reported missing. So, like, if people are going to see her and a doctor's been to see her, why does no one know that? She has an entire business. So, like, that doesn't sound right to me at all. And then there's a different source that said he had diagnosed her with, quote, nervous excitement, which is something that they say about rebellious women a lot, and slight bronchitis, which is not the same thing as you have pneumonia, you're dying. I've also seen another source somewhere else try to state that they thought that she was pregnant at the time. So, like, there's a wild level of disagreement. Now, I haven't looked at the court documents directly, but I think that the court documents, from what I've seen, seem to say that she had some kind of bronchitis or something to that effect. But the sources conflict. And I think it's because there's a lot of lies being told. So he apparently prescribed medicine. And then later on, a priest gave her last rites just in case. But there's also a wildly suspicious amount of time between her falling sick and getting help, because it's like well over a week. And with the money that they seem to have had, because they weren't super poor, that's not why. Like, I think he was neglectful. I think he didn't want her to get help. Like, I think it shows that he's a not good husband.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. On top of that, Michael and Dunn, her cousin, also gave her random concoctions of herbs that made her violently sick, because Dunn went to another guy. Like, Dunn was supposed to be like a bard. He was supposed to be like a wise man from the area. And then he went to his mate, who's a supposed fairy doctor, and said that he thought that Bridget was a changeling. And he told Michael, apparently, that Bridget was a changeling, and they maintained this story the whole way through. So a lot of the herbs that are supposed to protect you from fairies are actually pretty poisonous. And some of them
it sounds like they're poisoning her.
Some of them are very heavily medicinal, but like, she was described as basically throwing up nonstop when they gave her these concoctions.
Yeah.
So it says, according to his later testimony recorded in the academic journal Folklore, Michael claimed that the ailing Bridget was, quote, 2 inches taller and too fine to be his wife, meaning too pretty. Dunn, who was a local storyteller at Sionche, sorry for the pronunciation, I haven't had a chance to look it up, well-versed in fairy lore, spurred on Michael's suspicions, telling him it is not your wife that is in there. At Dunn's urging, Michael went to the local fairy doctor, Dennis Gainey, for an herbal cure, which is what I was just talking about. So they just poisoned her, basically. Several of Bridget's friends and family members attended her over the next 2 days, and a number of home remedies were administered. And I wrote, so who the fuck reported her missing? Also, weren't all of these people literally bystanders? These are not Bridget's people. This is a small place. Which is obviously like my own personal note. Like, there's a lot of things that don't add up in this case at all. So they go on to say that they started conducting exorcisms on her. Her father and her husband accused her of being a fairy sent to take Bridget's place. And that night, as other men penned her down, Michael forced Bridget to drink another bitter concoction while shouting, "Take it, you witch, or I'll kill you."
Oh, he sounds lovely.
Yeah. So they say that she seemed wild and deranged, according to the testimony of her cousin Joanna Burke. By the end of the night, however, a quiet seemed to settle in the cottage, and Michael was satisfied with his exorcism. Which I take it to mean that, like, she fought for her life, eventually got exhausted, and he was like, well, maybe I've got enough of that stuff in her to kill her. So in the morning, for the first time in nearly 2 weeks, Bridget dressed in her typically fashionable clothes to give her courage when she would go among the people, which was a quote of something that she had apparently said, that she was going to go out. Now, in my opinion, I think that Michael realized that she'd somehow managed to make a recovery, and he needed to finish her off before she could go out and tell her actual friends what was happening to her.
Done. Yeah.
Yep. So it says Burke later recounted, that afternoon, several relatives came over for tea, but when Bridget asked for milk, Michael's paranoia reignited. Fairies are said to crave fresh milk. Michael again took up his interrogation. Bridget told him, your mother used to go with the fairies, and that is why you think I am going with them. She basically said, fuck you, your mom's a whore. Like, she's had enough at this point. He's been trying to kill her for probably 3 days.
Yeah.
So I think that's fair. Michael grew incensed, forcing Bridget to eat several pieces of bread before throwing her to the ground. He tore at her clothes, then grabbed a hot stick from the fire and set the fabric alight. James Kennedy, a relative, yelled, "For the love of God, don't burn your wife."
Yeah.
So the whole thing, the whole way through, I really don't believe that he ever thought that she was a changeling.
No, it sounds like he just wanted to kill her.
Yeah.
That was an excuse.
100%. By the 16th of March, rumors were beginning to circulate that Bridget was missing, and local police began searching for her. So, again, if everybody was there, how is it that all of this is happening and other people? So I assume that the people who actually cared about her, probably her clients who knew her and the women in the village that she was making dresses for. Oh, yeah. Also, can I just say, she wore apparently a beautiful dress that I assume she'd made herself out of red velvet, and that was another reason. It really feels like an attack on a skilled woman who is financially independent, mentally independent, highly intelligent, and would not just be put in her place, basically, because she knew that her place was wherever she wanted it to be.
Yeah, and he felt threatened by that because she didn't technically need him, especially if she started making her own money. Yeah, she could have left and then,
Well, not only that, but we're going to find out later on that she made more money than he did.
Yeah, he's just threatened by her then.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the other women were probably too scared to say anything if they knew what was going on because they'd probably get burnt as well.
Yeah. So the thing that really gets me is Michael's quoted as claiming that his wife had been, quote, taken by fairies, and that when they found him, he appeared to be holding a village, which I said was sus. So he goes through this pageantry of saying that now that he's killed the changeling, his wife should be returning. So the folklore does say that if you detect the changeling and you either force them to call the person back or you kill the changeling, then the fairies have to return your actual real person to you. That's how it's supposed to go. So he says that he's going to go and sit at this location where he's sure she's going to come back riding a white horse, like in the old tales. I do not believe him for a moment because witness statements were gathered over the ensuing week. And by the time Bridget's burnt corpse was found in a shallow grave on the 22nd of March, 9 people had been charged with her disappearance, including her husband. A coroner's inquest the next day returned a verdict of death by burning. Yeah. So then all eyes rested on Michael Cleary. And this is from reports of the courthouse at the time. It says he wore a haggard appearance throughout his time in court. He loudly denied that he had burnt his wife, which we all know is a lie. There's multiple witnesses. This is why I know that he did not think that she was a changeling. Because if he really believed it, he would have maintained that the whole time, and he doesn't. His story changes. He tearfully refuted the evidence from others that he had placed his wife on the fire and says, "I would sooner put myself on the fire than her on the fire." Don't believe him for a second.
Don't believe that.
No. He accused the witnesses of trying to injure him and of trying to destroy his life, which is a direct quote, as they had tried to during the years of his marriage. So it's everybody else's fault but his.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
He says, quote, "I threw no paraffin oil on my wife," which makes me think that he absolutely did throw paraffin oil on her before dropping her in the fireplace.
Oh, so he knew. Yeah, definitely.
He's literally just a bastard. Because also, in looking at the folklore says that you poke them with a hot poker, and that's supposed to make them revert back into their fairy form and give you power of them, because also iron, right? Iron versus fairies. It does not say, in most sources that I found, most of them don't suggest burning the whole person.
No, because that would be silly.
Well, yeah, it's extreme. It's extreme. So even if you were absolutely convinced of the folklore and you believed it to be 100% real, going so far as to actually dump paraffin oil on her and throw her in the fireplace is above and beyond excessive, even for the culture and climate and beliefs.
Yeah.
This is
sounds
why
like he basically tortured her first as well.
Yeah, I don't think it for a second. And also there's a very few where they say to throw them in the fireplace to make the fairy leave, and then I think the other person's supposed to emerge. But those are so much rarer from what I can see that I just thought it was all really sus. So in retrospect, experts have sort of called Bridget's death the last witch burned in Ireland. So although it's been noted that Bridget was never actually described as having consorted with the devil, which is customary with those accused of witchcraft, instead she was thought to have been replaced by a fairy changeling. In 1895, she was killed by several people, including her husband and cousins, after a short bout of illness. Local storyteller Jack Dunn accused Bridget of being a fairy changeling, and it is debatable whether her husband Michael actually believed her to be a fairy. Many believe that he concocted the fairy defense after murdering his wife in a fit of rage. The killers were convicted of manslaughter rather than murder, as even after the death they claimed to be convinced they had killed a changeling and not Bridget Cleary herself.
But then she never came back, so it obviously wasn't.
Yeah, I know, 100%. I think it's a misguided verdict, personally. The other thing is that Ireland was at the time modernizing rapidly and fighting for independence from England, according to Scheibel. And while women like Bridget were experimenting with unprecedented freedoms, and yet Bridget's murder shows the immense power that the changeling myth held, said Bone, and how those myths could be weaponized against women who defied society's mold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like any woman that's not just going to go along with whatever a man tells her to do. Must be changeling or witch.
Yep. Every single time. Now, I will say the community, so the people who are supposed to like believe in the fairies, this is another thing that I think is so like, I don't believe that at all, because the accused were jeered and hooted as they marched to the courthouse, and angry neighbors burned out the relatives of Bridget's who had taken part in her murder, which is like, good. Karma came around. Michael was also forced to flee to Canada, where he remarried. And I just wrote, fingers crossed she survived that.
Yeah. Hopefully he didn't burn her.
Mm-hmm. Though I do think that would probably be harder to do in Canada. Because I think there was less of like a witch craze over in that direction, if I'm right. But yeah, it's wild. It's like a 10 out of 10 wild. And I thought that it went really well with this episode because we have changelings and we have fire. And we have women being burned.
Yeah, that's horrible that she, dared to, have a business, make her own money.
Or
she had to die, clearly.
She had also had £20 hidden in a cache in her house. And this was something that was sort of semi-public knowledge, apparently. And I think that's the motive for her death. I think they knew. So when I looked it up, that's about £3,000, like £3,500 in today's money.
Yeah.
I think
she was probably trying to leave. She was probably squirreling away money so she could leave him.
I think that Michael and her father and her cousins did not want to lose their cash cow. And they thought that that was so much money, which it was a shit ton of money, especially for the time, that they could take the money off of her. And when she wouldn't go along with it, I think they killed her. I think they started out trying to torture her for the location of the money, which she refused to give up, because that was only found after her death. And obviously they didn't see a single red cent of it, which is good. So she defied them. In my opinion, I think that's what happened. I think she defied them until the end. And basically took her money with her, and they never got their hands on it. So fuck those guys.
Yeah, absolute arseholes. So back to the episode, Sam and Dean are talking about the changeling law, and we get a cut scene where Katie is feeding off her mum, and it's so spooky and rank, and I just wrote, no thank you.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I was like, and again, this is why I don't have children, and also you should burn her.
Put her back in the sea because she's a sea lamprey.
But I think she thrived in the sea. That's the issue. Don't put it has to be fire. It has to be fire, Laura.
Kill it.
Kill it with fire.
So they discuss that anyone who gets in the way of the food source ends up dead, and the only way to waste them is with fire.
Fire!
They also say that the real kids are out there somewhere, so they need to find them, and Dean realises that Ben is vulnerable to this and says they need to make a stop on the way. Oh, we said that bit already. So they go to Lisa's house. Dean gives her a credit card and tells her to go somewhere for the weekend and to leave right now. And she tells him to leave. And I went, this is actually sweet because he really does care about them. He really does.
The name on the credit card was Siegfried Houdini.
She's like, who is this? Leave.
this is one of the most romantic things that Dean has ever done.
Yeah.
B, this is 100% one of the reasons why she doesn't tell him. Because you can tell at the end of the episode she wants to confess, but she doesn't. And I think it's this and it's the monster. She's like, credit card fraud and monsters. She's like, nah, not my
Bad
son.
influence.
Not my son. Yeah.
Ben appears behind her and he's clearly a changeling now. They're like, uh-oh. Lisa tells him to leave again and slams the door in his face. Dean finds red marks near a window like in the other houses and runs back to the car. And he tells Sam what's happening and that he doesn't think the red marks are blood. And he says he thinks he knows where the kids are. Now, this is my big rant. Yes.
Can I just say, leading up to your big rant, that was the world's shakiest handheld camera shot. While Daddy Dean finds the blood, air quotes, okay, the handheld camera guy is like having some kind of like earthquake, but just him. It is all over the place. Okay, that's the end of my rant. You rant. Rant away.
My rant is about this bloody red blood dust stuff. So, first of all, it's very convenient that Dean realizes that it's not blood but dirt, and he knows exactly where this dirt is. Now, he drove past this house on the way into town, but could he have really seen it for long enough to know that the dirt was red, and remember exactly where this house was? And also, the dirt is not red. It's not as red as the marks on the door and the windows. That is like bright red. The dirt is like brick dust. It's like brick red, which is orange.
Well, the reason why, can I just say, because this is my other rant, is because Sam says red dirt, and I was like, bitch, you went to Stanford. You know that's clay. It's clay. That's why it looks like brick dust, because it's fucking clay. It's terracotta. It's clay. It can be a dark red because of the iron in it.
Yeah,
however, it is not
red.
blood red.
No.
And they clearly just smeared fake blood so that they could mistake it for, oh, it's blood. Which, like, if it was dark at night, I would let them get away with it, but it wasn't that dark. They had flashlights. And that upsets me because it's like, you're telling me that Dean Winchester and Sam Winchester can mistake red fucking clay for blood. No, shut up.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you agree. In my notes, I'd written red dirt, except it isn't that fucking red, though, is it? The blood red patches on the windows were not red dirt colour or even the same texture. They were bright red. And then the last bit of my rant is also, is the changeling washing its hands in this dirt every time they leave the house so that they have fresh dirt on their hands by the time they get to each house, enough to leave a handprint? This is stupid.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I get that it's supposed to be like the creepy changeling lore where they're like crawling out of the earth like horrible little lamprey minions covered in this blood red earth. But the problem with that is, guys, it's like you've got to actually have blood red earth. And they're just like walking. If that's true, they're crawling out of the house. Out of the actual basement of the house, which there's not that much clay there. Okay, it's just so what are they, like, hand crawling? Are we supposed to be and then it wouldn't just be on their hands, would it? Like,
no, exactly. And there'd be like a trail somewhere. It wouldn't just be some handprints on the window. There'd be trails elsewhere.
The plot holes. Okay. Yeah. I feel like there's that scene in Clue where she just goes, flames coming out of my head. Because she's so upset. I can't. Okay.
Yeah. This was like a big plot hole. And it did annoy me. But, I know we always say like, oh, well, we'll let it go because it furthers the plot. But this is stupid. This one's stupid. It's like with demon dust. And red dirt.
Now we've got red dust. Demon dust, red dust. Fucking sulfur. Fucking yellow dust. Bullshit.
What is with the dust on this show?
I don't know. They have some kind of dust fetish over here.
So, anyway, that rant aside, they pull up at a building site where there is clearly a pile of brown, not red, dirt outside. Is what I've written in my notes. So apparently my rant wasn't over. They're like, it's red dirt and it matches what was on the window. Whatever.
Does it? Does it? Winchester?
So they go inside this half-built house and look around. They hear some noises and follow them. Dean finds Ben first in a cage. Sam is still looking around and the woman from the realty company appears and asks what he's doing. And he looks at her reflection in a window, although apparently I had another flag. I didn't see any windows in this house because it was a like half-built house. But anyway, there must have been a window there. And her face is the same as the changeling. So in her reflection shows, she's a sea lamprey.
I write down, see, she is a real estate demon.
I wrote that she's Mama Changelings. That's what I call her from now on.
Yeah.
She says she's calling the police as they're on private property. If I'd been Sam, I'd have been like, go on then. What are they going to do? You're in a half-built house with a whole load of kids in a cage.
Yeah. That's an excellent point.
Yeah. Dean finds the other kids and the woman, and they're all in cages. They are literally in cages like dogs would be in like a shelter. They've got little water bowls and in cages. These poor kids.
Yeah, it's awful. Like in America with ice. Looks accusingly at the camera towards America and also ice. Human rights.
Yeah, America. Get your shit together. So Sam tells her he's just leaving, but leans down to get the flamethrower out of his bag. And he lights it and he aims it towards her, but she disappears. This is the thirst trap.
I wrote, it is the thirst trap. I wrote, kill it, Sam. And then I wrote, welcome to Sizzlers, bitch. And then I was like, oh, they really upgraded the flamethrower since Bugs.
Yeah, because it was just a can. that they didn't even need to light.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did notice that he did actually light this flamethrower.
Yeah.
Also, I wrote, what is it with these two looking smouldering next to fire? Because whenever there's fire...
I love that pun.
They look hot.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god! Oh. Amazing.
So they're back at Lisa Ben's house. Ben is being a clingy little bitch, like Katie was earlier. I forgot I'd written that one notes.
I'm laughing, but it's like silent because I don't want to cough horribly and lose my voice for the rest of the episode. But oh my god, that killed me.
I make myself laugh. Dean's breaking the locks on all the cages to rescue the kids. He gets Ben out first, and then Changeling Ben tells Lisa he's hungry, so we're getting like scenes between the two.
Yeah, there's cuts between.
Yeah. She gets up to get him a snack, but looks back at him and sees his rank-faced reflection in the glass coffee table.
That was such a jump scare.
Ugh.
That had me like actually physically jumping. I was not cool with that.
Dean and Ben are helping the other kids out of their cages. Ben's being really cute, telling the other kids that they're going to be okay.
He is a baby Winchester.
Yes.
Through and through. This is the most adorable thing that I have ever seen in my entire life. He says, it's okay, you're going to get out of here, all right? Hurry. And then Dean's saying, come on, girls, come on, keep moving. Okay, everybody back. And then he goes to smash the glass of the window so that they can climb out. And Ben takes off his jacket and gives it to Dean to help him so that they can climb over the glass without getting hurt. And it's just like, oh, perfect. And Dean goes, all right, Ben, come on. Because he wants to get his kid out. And Ben's like, no, him first. So he points to this kid who's smaller and is like, no, he has to go out first. He's like more vulnerable. Like you can see the Dean Winchester in this child is strong. Okay.
Definitely.
So Sam's saying, hey, Dean, there's a mother. And Dean's like, a mother changeling? And Sam's like, yeah, we got to get these kids out quick. And Dean's like, right there. There's one more. You got to break the lock. So Sam goes to smash the lock and save the other kid. And Sam's saying I guess that's why the changelings are keeping the kids alive so the mom can snack on them. Blech.
Yeah.
Horrible. So then they find the real redheaded real estate lady and he rescues her. And then the real Katie screams as she sees the mother changeling come up behind her.
This is when she got her best scream trophy. I bet this is the best scream we've had so far on this show.
10 out of 10. Killer actress.
And also, this whole set of scenes is one big thirst trap because I'd written down Sam trying to set her on fire, thirst trap. Dean rescuing the kids, thirst trap. Dean being dad-like, thirst trap. Sam smashing the last lock, thirst trap.
Yeah, you're right on all counts, okay? There's no mistakes being made here. This is correct. And then you have the whole cut with Ben and Lisa, and it's super creepy. Ben goes, what's wrong, mommy? And Lisa's like, you're not my son. And Ben's like, yes, I am. And Lisa's like, where's Ben? And Ben's like, I'm Ben. I love you, mommy.
Go away, Ben.
It's awful.
So Lisa runs outside and is confronted by 3 other changelings, so she runs back inside and closes the door, and she looks really scared here. Um, and then we cut to Katie's mum, sitting on the bathroom floor against the door crying, with changeling Katie banging on the door and shouting, "Mummy" again, and this is really scary. And I wrote, she's being the wolf from the Three Little Pigs because she keeps going, "Let me in, let me in." And she's rattling the door really, really violently.
Yeah. It is really, 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 really scary.
Yeah,
It seriously got to me because it's so terrifying and like she's so helpless in this
yeah.
moment. There's like nothing she can do to save herself. And you feel so sorry for her.
They're literally
And
both just, like, cowering because they don't know what else to do, and, like,
yeah,
hiding from these kids that are, like, them banging on the doors.
it's pretty horrific. It's some of the scariest stuff because I think some of the
Yeah.
scariest stuff about like the kid horror is the metaphors for things like post traumatic. What is it?
Postpartum?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. So there's postpartum, which I think gets used as a metaphor a lot in horror about kids. And then
Yeah.
you also have like the added horror of if there really is a monstrous child, like you can't beat that kid, literally or metaphorically, because you can't. Like child services, police, etc. Like it's one of the enemies that you could never fight against. Because like if you were fighting against an adult formed evil thing, you'd just be like, it attacked me, it was self defense. But you could never
Yeah.
claim that against a little kid. So like you're literally helpless. Also, she's already tried to drown this bitch and it didn't work. So like she's weak. She's physically and literally drained by this monster baby who looks like her daughter. She doesn't know where her real daughter is. And then there's just the constant banging on the door. It is terrifying and awful.
Yeah, it definitely is. So back at the house, Dean goes flying because he's been hit by a mama changeling. Sam tries to set her on fire again, but she kicks the lighter out of his hand and beats him up too. And in my initial watch notes, I wrote, Mama Changeling beating the crap out of both Sam and Dean was actually quite funny, not going
It was, yeah. I liked it.
to lie. Dean shouts for Ben to get the kids out of there, which he does. Oh, this is where I wrote, he's a little hero in training.
He is. He turns over the bucket for the little kids who like cannot reach
Yeah.
on their own. And he picks some of the smaller ones up. Like it's so oh, he's a mini Dean and he's beautiful.
Yeah. And Sam and Dean are fighting Mama Changeling and they set her on fire, which was a thirst trap. The fire effects were cool. They were much better than any we've had so far, I feel.
Yeah, they've definitely improved.
And then when she dies, the Changeling kids also set on fire wherever they are and the mums are saved. This would have been really scary because, like, if you think from Lisa's point of view, she's like cowering by the front door and then her
Yeah.
son like sets on fire and disappears. And then it's like, is my real son going to come back or has he just gone now?
Yeah, it is terrifying.
Hmm.
The scare rating for this episode I feel like should be pretty high.
Yeah. So then Sam and Dean take Ben home. I imagine them all like piling all of these kids in the back of the car and then
Yeah.
dropping them all off one by one.
Yeah, really cute. Very Scooby Doo. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's adorable.
Lisa's very grateful that they saved him, and she asks Dean what the hell just happened, and he says he will explain it if she wants him to, but advises that she probably doesn't want to know. And then she thanks Dean and hugs him, and then Sam leaves him to it, and then so Dean, Lisa, and Ben all go inside. And then we cut to a little later on where Dean has explained to Lisa what's happened, and then he explains that this is his job, and he asks her again if Ben is his, and she says no, but we know she's lying.
She's such a liar, y'all. She is so clearly lying. And then she goes on to say something like, well, actually, I have to read this part because I put it down that I want to read this part, and also it's awesome. So Lisa says changelings, and Dee says, "You know how I never mentioned my job? This is my job." And Lisa's like, "I so did not want to know that." And then she looks at Ben and says, "Do you think he'll be okay?" And Dean's like, "Yeah, I think he'll be fine." And then he pauses,
Might
and
need
he's
some
like,
therapy, but you know.
he's like, "Okay, seriously, I mean, you're 100% sure that he's not mine, right?" And Lisa says, "You're off the hook. I did a blood test when he was a baby." And I'm like, no.
And did that blood test say he was a Winchester?
Yeah, 100%. And Dean says, "Oh," and Lisa says, "There was this guy, some bar back in a biker joint." And Dean gives her a weird look and she says, "What?" "I had a type, leather jacket, couple scars, no mailing address. I was there. Guess I was a little wild back then." And then she looks at Ben and she says, "Before I became a mom." And then she looks back at Dean and she says, so yeah, you can relax. And Dean says, good. But he is heartbroken. And it is both beautiful and tragic. So then Lisa says, I swear you look disappointed. This is where we know. Okay, if you watch this woman's expression, this is where we know, because she's torn and she asks him to stay because she wants to give him a chance with his son. All right? Okay. So Dean says, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. You know, your life, I mean, this house, the kid, it's not my life, never will be. Some stuff happened to me recently. And anyway, a guy in my situation, you start to think, you know, I'm going to be gone one day. What am I leaving behind besides a car? And Lisa says, I don't know. Ben may not be your kid, liar. But he wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for you. That's a lot of, yeah, he wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for you because you were his father. Okay? Duh. And Dean heads for the door and he says, you know, just for the record, you've got a great kid. I would have been proud to be his dad.
Aww.
You guys. I was like
okay,
on
Dean,
the verge of tears because it was so perfect. And Lisa, this is again where you know Dean is his father. She runs up and kisses him. She cannot help herself.
Yeah.
Ben is his child, okay? And so she laughs and says, look, if you want to stick around for a while, you're welcome to stay. That is his child. All right? And Dean has this pause and says, I can't. I've got a lot of work to do and it's not my life. Because he has to keep saving other people and she won't be honest with him, which like I do understand. I'm not mad at Lisa. I understand. Because she doesn't know anything other than this semi-illegal time, quote unquote, that they had together. The fact that he's still committing credit card fraud right now. He has no home address and he is constantly chasing monsters or fighting monsters or hunting. Like she has a little
danger.
He's always in danger. I understand the process. Like I understand why she's offering for him to stay, because if he would have stayed, she, I think, would have told him everything. So it's like the most beautiful and also the saddest thing in the world at the same time. Like, but it's also still so hopeful. So they smile at each other and then Dean leaves.
Yeah. So then we got to Sam at a motel and he's on the phone. He's pretending to be law enforcement, calling around to find out about all of Mary's friends, like the mysterious blonde woman told him to do.
This is kind of a thirst trap, actually.
Yeah. It turns out that all Mary's friends are all dead. And then, does it say in the transcript whether does he then call her or does she turn up again? I think she turns up, doesn't she?
So he tosses the phone on the bed and puts his head in his hands and says, "Oh my God." And then later on in another room, about halfway through, Sam talking there's like a bit of an odd reveal moment, and then we realize that he's speaking to mysterious blonde girl. So that's how it happens. There's like a transition shot. And he's saying they're dead, all of them. All of my mom's friends, her doctor, her uncle, everyone who ever knew her, systematically wiped off the map one at a time. And then he says someone went through a hell of a lot of trouble to try to cover their tracks.
Yeah, and then Sam's getting angry, asking her who she is and why she knows all about him and his mum. And Sam's shouting, "Just tell me who you are."
And at that point, I was like, yeah, say your name so that I don't have to keep saying all the like demon Barbie stuff. Like, come on, man.
Mysterious blonde woman. Well, technically, we don't know she's a demon yet. Anyway, we're going to find out
Well,
in just a second.
in like half a second. So she blinks her eyes, doesn't she?
Yeah. She they flash the demon black eyes.
Yeah.
And then back. And I'd thought last episode, was it last episode? Yeah. I said, oh, I think she must be a demon. But then I changed my mind at the end, didn't I? Because she killed demons.
Yeah.
And he's really shocked. But she says that she's there to help him. And then she says that it's all about him. And she thinks it's all a cover up to cover up what they did to him. And she wants to help.
She also says, one of my favorite lines in this episode, Sam's like, is this some kind of joke? And she says, God's honest truth, or whatever.
Sam asks why she wants to help him, and she says she has her reasons. And I wrote, ooh, mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
And then the episode ends with her telling Sam that she could help him save Dean. Oh, and this is why I wrote, I like her. She's cool and a bit sassy, and we love a badass babe. She's my favourite female character so far, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I like her and Joe are sort of tied for me.
Oh yeah, I like Joe as well.
Yeah. But yeah. Because she's basically just Joe that they rewrote. They rewrote Joe into this
Joe
character.
2.0.
She's Joe 2.0. She's like the next Terminator. I also said, mysterious blonde girl says, don't you get it, Sam? It's all about you. What happened to your mom? What happened to her friends? They're trying to cover up what he did to you, and I want to help you figure it out. And Sam's like, why would you want to help me? And she says, I have my reasons. Not all demons are the same, Sam. Not all of us want the same thing. Me, I want to help you from time to time. That's all. And if you let me, there's something in it for you. And Sam says, what could you possibly? And then she says, I could help you save your brother. End credits. End of episode. Da, da, da.
So this is interesting because the other demon, the Crossroads demon, said that they can't try and like get out of it, otherwise Sam will die. So she knows a demon loophole.
Exactly. There's a lot of really interesting possibilities with her being a demon and also arguably being on their side. So it definitely gives us a lot more hope for Dean.
So I'm excited to. This is kind of leaving lots of things open. We've got like Lisa and Ben, and the mysterious blonde woman.
Yeah, it's really really interesting because we have like Dean has a child, Sam has a
Dean's
demon.
become a daddy.
Daddy Dean, DILF. Yeah,
he is definitely a DILF.
100%. Do you want to play end of episode games?
Yeah.
Okay.
Villain hot or not? No, because they're children.
I wrote down that hot demon Barbie is hot, and we don't know if she's a villain at this point, but she's a demon.
She's trying to help at the moment.
That's all we know. So I was just like, she's at least a morally gray character. So I was she's like, hot morally adjacent. She's villain adjacent, hot morally gray character. So that's my take on that.
What's your episode scare rating?
I'm gonna give it a 9. Scary.
Yeah, I've given it a 9 as well. The creepy kids.
Yeah,
they're really scary.
Creepy kids.
What was your favorite quote?
There are a lot of really, really, really good ones. I can't decide if I want to go for poignant or funny. But I think that one of my favorite ones is when our demon mystery girl calls Sam a damsel in distress.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was amazing. Oh, yeah.
I should have written down one of her quotes.
It's her banter at the beginning where she says like that she got the knife from Sky Mall. Then that she likes tall men. He's like, why don't you want to help me? She's like, I like tall men.
Yeah, I was like, same. Everything she was saying, I was like, same.
Yeah, so that sequence there is, I think, my quotes of the episode.
Yeah, the only one I wrote down because I'd forgotten about that one. The only one I'd written down was creepy. Stare at you like your lunch, kids.
That's pretty funny.
First trap.
I think it's probably the bit at the end where they're rescuing people, but I only kind of registered Sam thirst traps because I thought Dean and Ben were so adorable. Demon Barbie's a thirst trap, so I have to go with like Demon Barbie and Sam.
I had Sam with the flamethrower, but it could just be the whole rescue scene as well for both of them.
That was amazing. It was amazing, but I do really love like Sam whipping out the flamethrower from nowhere and just like firing up the changeling mom. That was awesome.
MVP?
I'm going to say that it is Ben. Because he is just the little baby, but he does so much badass stuff in this episode, and he saves the other kids, and he's obviously a Winchester. So I'm going to award it to baby Ben.
Okay, I'm going to agree with you. I had to put Dean because I suppose Dean because he worked out where the kids were, even though it was stupid. So, but yeah, I'm going to change my mind and say Ben because I agree with you.
Thank you.
And in the motel, I wrote down, we only really see the dining area of the motel for most of the scenes. But at the end, we see Sam in a room and there's a huge planter full of flowers randomly in the middle of the room. which is pretty. And I love flowers, but it's a bit random. And the wallpaper is also very garish. It looks like red fleur-de-lis on a gold background, and it looks like it's flocked, so it's got that like velvety texture.
Yep.
And I said I'll give it a 3.
I have to agree with you. I wrote down, this motel is hideous. Red and brown and black and gold, but in the worst ways, and tacky. And the fake flower planter in the middle of the room
so random.
Is absolutely enormous and clearly full of fake flowers. Like, it's so dumb.
They changed their usual like partition wall for a big massive flower pot.
So like, my thought process is that the motels are always themed to the episode or the locale. And my thought process was this was suburbia. So I felt like they made it like really tacky suburbia, especially with the flower thing in the middle. Like, I think it was supposed to represent like the everything is the same sort of like planters. That's my theory, but
they should have had a white picket fence in the middle.
That honestly, I would not put it past them. Do you remember when most of the episode was in a bar and the theme was beer?
Yeah.
And then fishing town, and it was fishing floats.
Yeah.
Like, there's no subtlety. I love it. But yeah, not going to stay there on purpose.
No, it's not the worst place they've stayed though. But yeah.
But then I wrote down, there's a research scene with Sam before the dialogue with Mystery Blonde Demon Girl. And this side shot made it look really cool. So there's like one angle where it looks really cool, and then there's another angle where Laura's describing like the dining room area, and that's hideous to me. And then the bedspread was like black and gold, but like not in a good way.
No.
Yeah, anyway, that's the end of that rant.
Yeah. So interesting. I like that we're in season 3 now. It feels like we are kind of in. We haven't had any big kind of main plot stuff yet, but I like that we're just having some fun.
But we have, my child. Oh, but we have.
Wait, I'm trying to think what the last episode was now.
No. From the last episode to this episode, the main storyline is unspooling before our very eyes.
Okay, so I just don't realize that yet. Then,
yeah.
I'm wondering this episode, this season, because this season is shorter because of the writer's strike. Are there still like Monster of the Week kind of filler episodes, or did they know it was going to be a short episode at the start, or did they kind of realize that later?
I don't think they knew at the beginning. I think they realized it's sort of like part way through, maybe the beginning or the middle of the season, I think is when it happened.
So I'm hoping that the season doesn't feel rushed, but I'm guessing that they just cut out some of the like more fillery episodes if
I think they just streamlined it.
Okay, cool. Well, that's this episode then. Have you got anything else to say, or should we go?
Pray for me, light a candle for me and Laura that neither of us get sick again for a really long time, please. I am so over this cold. I know she's over her set of colds because it just kept coming back. I need this to be done. Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll see you next week. And thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. We would be very grateful. And if you know someone who would enjoy it, please share.
You can find us on Instagram at The Witches of Letters Podcast, or you can email us at thewitchesofletters@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay safe out there, have each other's backs, and always keep fighting.